dig dirt? How do we know Hillary's the one who cut loose James Cargill, who made the statement I made about $100 in trailer parks? How do we know Hillary's doing this?
Because we know from the various women who had contact, some of them had contact with Hillary Clinton in Arkansas. They know her way of doing business, and they know in discussions with Bill what she would likely do if their relationships had ever come out. I mean, Bill knows who Hillary is. Believe it or not, it's a marriage of convenience. Obviously, for a lot of different reasons we can get into in another show. But this is Hillary's modus operandi. This is what she is. She is someone who is vicious. She's someone who, in my view, has no heart. And she's someone who will go to whatever means for power. And we can see that today. I mean, look at all the crimes she's committed, including the crimes that have occurred recently with regard to the email scandal and doing business for the Clinton Foundation by selling access to the State Department when she was Secretary of State. This is a woman that knows no bounds. And Stephanopoulos and Cargill himself effectively admitted it when they did that documentary, The War Room. It was Hillary who was at the top of that. She's the one who called the shots. And the private detectives who were sicked on these women, people like Anthony Pellicano and Terry Lenzner, they were also following me around. These people were hired by Hillary Clinton, and I took the deposition of Lenzner and confirmed that, hired through Hillary Clinton's lawyer, David Kendall, at Williams & Conley. So there's a lot of different evidence here, direct and circumstantial, which places Hillary at the center of these acts against the women.
My guest is Larry Klayman of Freedom Watch. Larry, the most serious allegation, of course, is the one made by Juanita Broaddrick. She claims that when Bill Clinton was Attorney General, he raped her, and 2 weeks later, at some sort of campaign function, Hillary came up to her and verbally intimidated her, said things to her, according to Juanita Broaddrick, that made it clear, keep your mouth shut or else. What did Hillary do to Juanita Broaddrick?
Well, one of the private detectives broke into her house and took a answering machine tape. You know, in those days they didn't have digital communications to make sure there was no evidence of what had occurred. And she was in contact at the time, I believe it was, with Andrea Mitchell of NBC News to tell the story. So these are the kinds of things that were done. Frequently, private detectives...
I think it was Lisa Myers.
Lisa Myers, yeah. Correct. It's been a while.
Yeah, it was Dateline NBC, Lisa Myers.
Dateline NBC.
And they remained friends. And Lisa Myers is now retired, but she recently said, Lisa Myers did, that she remained friends with Juanita Broaddrick.
Okay, thank you for correcting me on that. But the other thing they would do, they would have the private detectives. For instance, Kathleen Willey experienced this. She was riding her bike one day, and one of these private detectives, or one of his agents, rode up to her on another bike and mentioned the name of her children in a very sinister way. How are your children, Miss Willey? And that's a type of a threat. And in fact, that happened to me during a deposition at Judicial Watch, where one of the lawyers that were representing the Clintons, shortly after my daughter was born, mentioned her name, and there was no way of knowing that. They wanted us to know that they were watching, that they were following us around, that we were at risk. And of course we know, Larry, that is it a coincidence that 80 people died during the Clinton administration, material witnesses and others, including Vince Foster, who was thought to have a relationship with Hillary Clinton at the time? There was more than enough evidence to suggest that Hillary Clinton may have been at the center of arranging for some of these deaths. In fact, whistleblowers that came into Judicial Watch from the White House that revealed another email scandal. There was 1 million that were suppressed. It should have been given to the independent counsel, to me, and to Congress. They had lists of dead people left on their chairs. Now, if the Clintons didn't arrange for some of these deaths, then why were they leaving papers with the list of dead people on the chairs of whistleblowers in the White House? I believe the woman's capable of anything. And if you want to be honest, I don't think that all those 80 people died by accident.
Larry Klayman is my guest. He is with Freedom Watch. I've interviewed Kathleen Willey, I believe, a couple times.